My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm 44 years old, and the moment I saw my 9-year-old daughter face down on the hardwood, one shoe missing and her lips almost colorless, I thought I had come home early to find her dead. Maya. My suitcase slammed into the wall as I ran to her. Her backpack was still beside the stairs, half unzipped, a math worksheet sticking out. One sneaker lay 3 feet away. Her right hand was curled under her chest. She didn't move. I dropped to my knees and rolled her carefully onto her side. Maya. Open your eyes. Come on, baby, look at me. Nothing. Then I saw her chest rise, slow, shallow, behind me. A glass clicked against the kitchen counter. I turned. My wife, Claire, stood in the doorway. Her face was calm. Too calm. What happened? Claire barely glanced at Maya. She's fine. She's unconscious. She got upset because I took her tablet. I stared at her. Kids don't pass out because they lose a tablet. Claire exhaled through her nose. Daniel, don't do this. She gets dramatic when you're gone. I pulled out my phone and called 911. Claire stepped closer. Seriously? You're going to bring an ambulance here. My daughter is barely breathing. You're making this bigger than it is. That sentence hit me harder than the panic. I had been in Atlanta for a construction bid and wasn't supposed to be home until Friday. The client signed early, so I changed my flight without telling anyone. I wanted to surprise Maya. Now I was kneeling beside her, wondering what I had interrupted by coming home 2 days early. The dispatcher told me to keep Maya on her side and watch her breathing. How long has she been down? I asked Claire. I don't know. 5 minutes. Maybe 10. And you didn't call anyone? She does things for attention. Maya apologized when waiters brought her the wrong drink. She once cried because she accidentally stepped on a beetle. That doesn't sound like Maya? Claire's jaw tightened. Because you're never here when it happens. Sirens cut through the neighborhood. 3 paramedics rushed inside. The oldest, a man with silver at his temples, knelt beside Maya. Eddie Ramirez, he said. Dad. Yes. Medical conditions? None. Medications? None regularly. Claire spoke behind me. She takes allergy medicine sometimes. Ramirez looked up. What kind? Over the counter. How much did she take today? I don't know. Something changed in his expression. For 18 years, I had made my living estimating construction projects and negotiating contracts. I learned to notice tiny pauses, numbers that didn't belong. Ramirez had just heard something he didn't like. His partner brought in a stretcher. Ramirez checked Maya again, then looked around our entryway. The stairs, the kitchen, the hallway. His eyes stopped on me. You live here? Yes. You're Maya's father? Yes. He stared a second too long. Have we met before? No. You sure? I'd remember you. Behind him. Claire went still. Ramirez said nothing until Maya was strapped onto the stretcher. As they rolled her toward the ambulance, I followed. Outside, Ramirez caught my arm. Mr. Mercer. One question. What? You said you've never seen me before. I haven't. He glanced toward the front door. Then back at Maya. I believe you. The way he said it made my stomach drop. Then, why did you ask? Ramirez lowered his voice. Because I remember this house. I stopped breathing. He leaned closer. 7 months ago, I came through that same front door for another unconscious child. My eyes went to Maya. Ramirez's next words made the whole night tilt beneath me. It was her. And, according to the report, someone in your house made sure you never found out why. 7 months ago. The words followed me into the ambulance. Ramirez sat across from me as his partner monitored Maya. The oxygen mask covered her face. The pulse monitor kept blinking a number I was too afraid to interpret. When I asked, Ramirez checked the tablet in his hand. January 11th. I knew the date. Dallas. I had been on a hospital expansion project, negotiating a subcontractor dispute that kept me away 4 nights. What happened? She was difficult to wake, disoriented, slow respirations. We transported her to Williamson Medical. My mouth went dry. She went to the hospital. Yes. And nobody called me. Ramirez hesitated. The adult on scene said you were out of state and unavailable. I looked through the rear windows at Claire's SUV following behind us. I was in Dallas. My phone was on the whole time. Ramirez didn't comment. What caused it? The working concern was antihistamine exposure. We were told she may have taken too much allergy medicine by accident. I looked at Maya. 7 months ago, my daughter had been unconscious enough to need an ambulance. And somehow, I had come home from Dallas believing nothing unusual had happened, with me hundreds of miles away. Who was with her? Your wife. That answer landed like a fist. I wanted to call Claire. I wanted to ask how she had hidden an ambulance, an emergency room, and a terrified child from me. Instead, I remembered the last thing she had said inside the house. Don't turn this into some huge thing. If Claire believed I knew nothing, I wanted her to keep believing it. At the hospital, Maya was taken through double doors while I stood under fluorescent lights answering insurance questions. A nurse asked for my policy information. That was when something clicked. Hospitals leave records. Ambulances leave records. Pharmacies leave records. Whatever Claire had hidden. She couldn't erase every system that touched it. I opened our insurance portal on my phone. January 11th appeared immediately. Emergency transport. Emergency department evaluation. Laboratory services. My thumb froze. Then I saw another claim. March 3rd. Urgent care. I didn't remember it either. I opened my work calendar. March 3rd, Charlotte. Another claim sat lower on the page. April 19th. Pharmacy. Tampa. Then June 7th. Walk-in clinic. Chicago. My heartbeat pounded hard enough to hear. I scrolled back to January and started again. Slower this time. Different facilities. Different types of claims. Same child. Same household. And every unfamiliar date seemed to line up with the city where I had been working. I took screenshots before I even fully understood why. Then I found something that made me stop breathing. One of the urgent care visits happened on a night Claire had texted me a photo of an empty guest room and told me Maya was sleeping over at her friend Lily's house. I still had the message. I searched my texts. There it was. Maya's having fun. Don't worry about us. Timestamp 8:42 p.m. The medical claim showed Claire checking Maya into urgent care at 7:58. She hadn't simply forgotten to tell me. She had given me a story that could not possibly be true. I looked toward the emergency room doors. One hidden ambulance ride was terrifying. But as I kept scrolling, I realized January wasn't the first secret. It was only the first one someone else had remembered. I stayed in the emergency waiting area with my phone in one hand and my work calendar open on the other. I needed numbers, not guesses. January 11th, Dallas. March 3rd, Charlotte. April 19th, Tampa. June 7th, Chicago. Tonight, Atlanta. Then I found two more dates buried in pharmacy and urgent care records. November 22nd, Birmingham. December 14th, Louisville. 7 medical events. 7 times I had been out of town. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. Some events were small enough that Claire could have hidden them easily. A walk-in clinic, a pharmacy charge, a nurse consultation. Others weren't. One involved an ambulance. Another involved an emergency room. Every record described some version of the same symptoms: unusual sleepiness, dizziness, confusion, slowed responses. Antihistamines appeared again and again. Not always as a prescription. Sometimes the claim showed an over-the-counter purchase made with our HSA card. Sometimes a clinic note recommended a sedating allergy medication, but the same category kept surfacing. I called Maya's pediatrician's after-hours line. The nurse pulled up her chart. Does Maya have a condition that would require repeated antihistamine treatment? I asked. Not according to her active problem list. Has your office been managing this? A pause. No, Mr. Mercer. My skin went cold. Would another clinic know if she'd already had a similar reaction? Not necessarily. That was the problem. Different clinics, different dates. No single doctor seeing the whole picture. Just Claire and Maya. For years, I had trusted Claire whenever she said Maya was tired, moody, or already asleep when I called from hotels. Suddenly, every ordinary explanation she had ever given me now felt contaminated by doubt. I started taking screenshots of everything. Claims, dates, provider names, pharmacy transactions. I emailed copies to myself and saved them in a folder Claire couldn't accidentally stumble across. Then Dr. Elaine Porter approached me. Maya is stable, she said. She's still very drowsy, but her breathing is better. What caused it? We're waiting on final toxicology. But her presentation is consistent with significant exposure to a sedating antihistamine. The hallway seemed to narrow. What if this has happened before? Her eyes sharpened. I showed her January, then March, April, June, the others. Finally, I showed her the message from Claire saying Maya was at Lily's house on the same night Claire had checked her into urgent care. Dr. Porter stopped scrolling. You didn't know about any of these? Not me. Who was caring for Maya on those dates? My wife. She handed my phone back carefully. I need you to stay here. Why? I'm contacting our child protection team. The words hit harder than I expected. Child protection. Until then, part of me had still been searching for a harmless explanation. A mistake. Bad communication. Coincidence. But 7 dates didn't feel like coincidence anymore. 7 times I left town. 7 times Maya got sick. And every time, Claire was the only adult standing between my daughter and the truth. At 2:06 in the morning, the elevator doors opened and Claire stepped into the hallway. She had changed clothes, dark slacks, cream blouse, makeup, hair brushed. I stared silently at her. Maya was lying in a hospital bed with monitors attached to her chest, and Claire looked like she was arriving for a client meeting. "How is she?" she asked. "Stable." Claire exhaled and reached for my arm. I stepped back. Her eyes narrowed. "What's wrong with you?" "Long night." Before she could answer, Dr. Porter came toward us holding a tablet. "Mr. and Mrs. Mercer." Claire corrected her automatically. "I'm Maya's stepmother." Dr. Porter nodded. "We have preliminary toxicology results. Maya has a significantly elevated level of a sedating antihistamine in her system." I watched Claire instead of the doctor. Her face changed. Not shock. Calculation. Then she said, "She must have gotten into the allergy medicine again." Again. The word hit me harder than anything else she had said that night. I kept my voice flat. Again. Claire looked at me. "What? You said she got into it again." For half a second, she froze. Then came the soft voice I had heard her use with teachers, neighbors, and waiters. "Daniel, kids get into things." I probably meant she's gotten into cabinets before. Has she taken too much medicine before? Maybe once. I don't remember. I almost laughed. 7 months earlier, an ambulance had carried Maya from our house unconscious. And Claire supposedly couldn't remember it. Dr. Porter didn't react. She just typed something. "Where is the medication kept?" she asked. "Upstairs bathroom." "Locked." "No." "Has Maya ever intentionally taken medication?" Claire crossed her arms. "She gets impulsive when Daniel travels." There it was. Not an answer. A story. Maya was difficult. Maya was impulsive. Maya was the problem. I wanted to pull out my phone and show Claire every claim, every date, every lie I had already found. Instead, I nodded. Maybe I'm just exhausted. Some tension left her shoulders. Claire looked at Dr. Porter. "She's stable, right? So can we stop treating this like some criminal investigation?" Dr. Porter's expression didn't change. "We're treating an unconscious 9-year-old with an abnormal toxicology result." Claire's mouth tightened. A nurse appeared. "Maya is awake enough for one parent." Claire immediately stepped forward. "I'll go." "I will," I said. She turned toward me. "Daniel, I'm the one who handles her when you're away." I held her gaze. "I'm not away now." And for the first time that night, Claire looked afraid not for Maya, but of what I might know. Maya looked smaller than I had ever seen her. The hospital blanket was pulled to her chest, and the monitor beside her chirped softly every few seconds. When I sat down, her eyes opened slowly. "Dad, I'm right here." Her fingers found mine. Then she asked the question that broke something inside me. "Am I gonna get grounded?" "No." "Why would you think that?" Her eyes drifted toward the door. "Claire said I ruined everything." I swallowed the anger rising in my throat. "You didn't ruin anything." Maya closed her eyes again. I stayed until her breathing evened out, then stepped into the hallway. Claire stood near the vending machines, texting. I walked toward her. January 11th. Her thumb stopped. "What?" "The night Maya was taken to the hospital 7 months ago." Claire stared at me. Then she asked, "Who told you?" "Not, what are you talking about?" "Not that never happened." "Who told you?" I felt the last piece slide into place. "You remember it?" Claire's expression hardened. "Of course I remember some of it. You were in Dallas. Maya got sick. The doctor said she was fine. You never called me. Because you were working, Daniel. What was I supposed to do? Blow up a project over every scare?" I stared at her. My daughter was unconscious. She recovered. Her voice was flat enough to scare me. I could have shown her the claims. The false sleepover text, the 7 dates. I didn't. "Go home," I said. Claire narrowed her eyes. "Excuse me, I'm staying with Maya." After a long pause, she picked up her purse and left. I waited until the elevator doors closed. When I returned, Maya was awake, staring at the ceiling. I sat beside her. "Sweetheart, I'm going to ask you one thing. You don't have to answer." She nodded. "Do you know how the medicine got into your body tonight?" Her whole body changed. Shoulders tight, eyes wide. Her fingers clamped around mine. I lowered my voice. "You're not in trouble." Maya looked toward the closed door. Then she whispered, "It wasn't medicine." I leaned closer. "What was it?" Her lips trembled. "Claire calls it my quiet drink." My stomach went cold. And, in that instant, every hidden hospital visit stopped looking like an accident. Maya kept staring at the closed door long after Claire was gone. I didn't ask another question for almost a minute. I just held her hand and waited. Finally, she whispered, "Are you mad at me?" "No. Not even a little." "What's in the quiet drink?" I asked. "I don't know." "What does it look like?" "Sometimes pink, sometimes clear." "Does Claire mix it in front of you?" Maya nodded. "Usually in my cup." My stomach tightened. "When does she give it to you?" "When you go on trips." "Every trip." "No." She swallowed. "Mostly when her friends come over." I thought about Claire's Thursday wine nights. Neighborhood women gathered around our kitchen island, photos posted afterward, candles, charcuterie boards, everyone smiling beneath captions about friendship. "What happens after you drink it?" "My legs get weird." "Weird how?" "Heavy. Like I'm walking through mud." She rubbed her eyes. "Then everything gets slow. Voices sound far away." She paused. "Like I'm underwater." I had negotiated contracts with men who lied directly to my face over 8-figure projects. Nothing had ever required more control than sitting beside my daughter while she described being drugged in her own home. "Did Claire tell you why you had to drink it?" "She says it helps me calm down." "You don't need a drink to calm down." Maya's chin trembled. "She says I'm hard when you're gone." "You are not hard." "She says I make everything stressful." There was shame in her voice. "What happens if you say no?" Maya looked at the door again. "She gets quiet." "What does that mean?" "She talks really soft." That answer scared me more than yelling would have. Maya whispered, "She says if I tell you, you'll stop traveling. Then you'll lose work. Then we might lose the house." My throat closed. "So, you didn't tell me because you thought you were protecting me." She nodded. A tear slid down her cheek. "I didn't want you to lose your job." I wiped it away. "Maya, listen to me. Nothing that happened is your fault. Not one part of it. You never have to protect me from the truth. Promise." "Promise." She took a shaky breath. Then, she said something I wasn't expecting. "Claire's nicer when people can see her." "What do you mean?" "When her friends are there. Or when the blue light is on." The blue light. By the front door. I pictured our video doorbell. Its blue indicator glowing whenever the camera activated. Maya looked at me. She smiles when that light comes on. A chill moved across my shoulders. Dr. Porter entered before I could ask anything else. I told her exactly what Maya had said. She stopped me immediately. "Don't question her further. We need trained child interviewers from here." I nodded. Maya squeezed my hand. I finally understood. Claire hadn't just been giving my daughter something that made her sleep. She had taught Maya when to be silent, what to fear, and how to protect the woman hurting her. And if Maya was right about those nights with Claire's friends, then the quiet drink wasn't only about control. Claire had been making sure my daughter couldn't stay awake to see something she shouldn't see. At 4:31 that morning, I opened my laptop in the hospital waiting area and created a file called Maya's Safety Timeline. I didn't call Claire, I didn't accuse her, and I didn't tell her Maya had finally spoken. That silence was the first advantage I had. For 18 years, I had made my living building estimates from scattered numbers, finding missing costs before a project collapsed under them. Now, I did the same thing with my daughter's life. January 11th, ambulance transport. March 3rd, urgent care. April 19th, pharmacy charge. June 7th, walk-in clinic. November 22nd. December 14th. Tonight. Beside every date, I entered where I had been. Dallas, Charlotte, Tampa, Chicago, Birmingham, Louisville, Atlanta. Then I added the details Claire didn't know I knew: the false sleepover text, Ramirez's memory of the house, Maya's words about the quiet drink, and Dr. Porter's warning that trained investigators had to take it from here. At 6:12 a.m., I called Marcus Hall, our operations coordinator. His voice was thick with sleep. "Dan, everything okay?" "No. I need my complete travel history for the last 24 months. A pause. "How complete?" "Flights, hotel receipts, expense reports, project meetings, rental cars, and HR confirmations, everything that proves exactly where I was." Marcus didn't ask for the story. He only said, "Don't delete anything." "I won't." By mid-morning, the records started arriving. I built a spreadsheet, one column for Maya's medical events, one for my travel, one for the adult responsible for her care. The overlap was almost perfect. 7 events, 7 absences, 7 times Claire had been the only adult with Maya. I printed the pages and spread them across a small table beneath the hospital window. On a screen, each event could still feel separate. On paper, they looked like a pattern someone had worked hard to keep separated. Then I requested every insurance record I was legally entitled to as Maya's father. I downloaded claim summaries, provider names, pharmacy transactions, and dates. I saved copies in 2 places and printed the most important pages. I wasn't trying to prove Claire guilty by myself. I was making sure nothing disappeared before people with authority could examine it. For the first time since finding Maya on the floor, anger stopped feeling useful. A clean timeline felt colder, quieter, and much more dangerous to Claire than confrontation. At 12:37, Claire called. I let it ring twice before answering. "How's Maya?" "Better." "When is she coming home?" "I don't know," she sighed. "Daniel, she gets emotional when you travel. You know that." I picked up a pen. "What do you mean?" "Defiant. Restless. Sometimes she refuses to settle down." "And what do you do?" "Silence." Then a small laugh. I calm her down. "What do you think?" I wrote the sentence exactly as she said it. Claire still thought she was controlling the story. She had no idea I was turning every version of that story into evidence. That afternoon, Laura Bennett from the hospital's child protection team sat across from me in a small consultation room. I slid the folder toward her. She opened it without speaking. First came the ambulance report, then the insurance claims, the pharmacy transactions, Marcus's HR-confirmed travel records, my spreadsheet. 7 dates, 7 cities. 7 times Claire had been responsible for Maya. Laura's eyes moved slowly from one column to the next. "You built this yourself." I organized what already existed. She stopped at January 11th. Then, at the urgent care visit Claire had hidden behind the fake sleepover message, "You were never told about these, not once." And Ramirez can confirm the January response. "Yes. He was there." Laura leaned back. For several seconds, she said nothing. Then she tapped the timeline. "One unexplained episode can be an accident." My jaw tightened. "But this isn't one episode." "No. Repeated medical events, similar symptoms, the same caregiver, and the same pattern of parental absence require a different level of review." Hearing someone else say it made the room feel colder. "What do you need me to do?" "Nothing aggressive." She counted the instructions on her fingers. "Don't confront Claire. Don't access accounts you aren't legally authorized to access. Don't ask Maya leading questions. Preserve everything exactly as it is." "I can do that." Laura closed the folder. "Good. Because from this point forward, we need evidence that can survive outside this room." As she walked toward the door, she stopped. "Daniel?" "Yeah." "Start thinking about whether Maya can safely return home without Claire having access to her." That was the moment I realized this had moved beyond suspicion. Someone with authority had seen the pattern too. By the next morning, Laura no longer called what happened to Maya an incident. She called it a priority investigation. I was standing beside Maya's hospital window when my phone rang. "Daniel," Laura said, "the department reviewed the toxicology, the prior ambulance response, your travel records, and Maya's disclosure. We're treating continued contact with Claire as a safety risk." I looked at my daughter. She was coloring a red panda beneath a yellow sun. "What happens now?" "You need a family attorney today. Ask about emergency protection." Laura gave me a name. Rebecca Sloan. Her office was 15 minutes from the hospital. I carried the folder inside like it weighed 50 pounds. Rebecca was in her early 50s, calm and direct. She read the timeline first, then the medical records, then Maya's statement. When she reached the 7 travel dates, she looked up. "Claire doesn't know you have all this." "No, keep it that way." I leaned forward. "I want her nowhere near Maya." Rebecca closed the folder. "Then don't threaten her. Don't argue with her. Don't post online. And don't try to make her confess." "What do I do?" She tapped the file. "You let this speak." Rebecca explained that the pattern, toxicology, hidden prior emergency, and active child protection investigation could support an emergency protective order. Today, for the first time, I understood the difference between anger and leverage. Anger would warn Claire. A court order could take away her access before she knew she was losing it. Rebecca opened a legal pad. "We're going to make this simple enough that a judge can understand it in 5 minutes. Then she looked directly at me. "And Daniel, from this point on, every move you make has to protect Maya, not punish Claire." That was the revenge I needed. Rebecca turned my messy stack of records into something colder, cleaner, almost impossible to argue with. Page 1, January ambulance response. Page 2, concealed emergency room visit. Page 37 medical events matched against 7 verified business trips. Then came Dr. Porter's toxicology findings, Maya's initial disclosure about the quiet drink, and Laura Bennett's child protection assessment. No speeches, no guesses, just dates, records, and a pattern. While Rebecca prepared the emergency filing, Claire kept texting. 8:14 a.m. Daniel, stop shutting me out. 8:19. I'm coming to the hospital. Maya needs me. Then, she's my family too. You can't just decide I don't get to see her. I handed my phone to Rebecca. She read the messages once. Don't answer. She's going to show up. Then, let the hospital handle it. Rebecca photographed the messages and added them to the file. She thinks this is still a disagreement between spouses, she said. It isn't. No. And that matters. The emergency request went before a judge that afternoon. I sat beside Rebecca with my hands locked together beneath the table. The judge reviewed the timeline first, then the toxicology, then the hidden January hospitalization. Finally, Maya's words, my quiet drink. The room went silent. The judge asked me one question. Mr. Mercer, are you able to provide a residence where Claire has no unsupervised access to Maya? Yes. Immediately, yes. The judge looked down again. Then came the order. Pending further proceedings, Claire was prohibited from direct contact with Maya. No calls, no texts, no messages through friends or relatives. She was also prohibited from returning to our home while the emergency order remained active. I lowered my head. For 3 days, anger had lived beneath my ribs like a hot wire. But I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired. Rebecca slid the certified order toward me. This is where people make mistakes, she said. They get the order. Then they call the other person and celebrate. I'm not calling her. Good. Follow it exactly. Change every point of access, school, house, medical records, digital accounts, everything. My phone buzzed again. Claire. Then, another text. I'm done playing this game, Daniel. I'm coming home tonight. I showed Rebecca. She gave me a cold look. Save that. I did. Claire still believed our front door belonged to her. She had no idea a judge had just taken away every legal path back through it. By 7 the next morning, I was standing in my driveway with a locksmith. The house looked exactly the same. That bothered me. The same porch light. The same flower pots Claire had arranged beside the steps. The same front door Maya had walked through every day believing she was safe. Every exterior lock, the locksmith asked. Every one. He changed the front and back locks while I reset the garage code. Then I opened the smart home dashboard and removed Claire's phone, deleted her fingerprint, changed the alarm password, and disabled every shared access token I could legally control. Each confirmation felt like another bolt sliding into place. Access removed. Code changed. User deleted. I wasn't erasing my wife. I was closing doors between Maya and the person she had identified as making her afraid. Next, I called Maya's school. I'm emailing an emergency protective order, I told the principal. Claire Mercer is no longer authorized to pick Maya up, receive her schedule, or contact her through staff. Understood. We'll flag the file. Then came Maya's pediatrician, her after-school program, emergency contacts, insurance access, anywhere Claire's name could open a door. I shut it. At 9:03 my phone rang. Claire. I let it ring. A text followed. Enough. Daniel. I'm coming home after lunch. We're going to talk like adults. I forwarded it to Rebecca. Her reply came seconds later. Do not respond. The order is active. 20 minutes later, Laura called. Investigators want to speak with Claire today. Okay. Do you know where she'll be? I did. Every Thursday at noon, Claire met the same 4 women at the Harpeth House Cafe. She called it networking, but it was mostly wine, expensive salads, real estate gossip, and staged pictures for social media. Image mattered to Claire almost as much as control. I gave Laura the location. That's all I need, she said. I didn't ask what would happen there. I didn't need revenge theater. I needed distance. Still. As I looked at the new key in my palm, I understood something Claire hadn't yet realized. She thought she was coming home after lunch, but by noon, she wouldn't have a house key, garage code, school access, or any legal right to come through our door. I was back at the hospital with Maya when the consequences reached Claire. She was sitting cross-legged in bed, coloring a house with a yellow roof, while my phone kept vibrating against the chair. Claire. Again. Then again. I let every call die. A message appeared. What did you do? Another followed. Call me now, Daniel. I turned the phone face down. Maya looked up. Is that Claire? Yes. Her crayon stopped. Is she coming here? No. Are you sure? I moved closer. I'm sure. She studied my face for seconds, as if safety was something she still needed proof of. Then she went back to coloring. At 12:21, Rebecca called. The protective order has been served. I stood and walked toward the window. And law enforcement is with her now. You don't need to do anything. That sentence mattered. For 3 days, part of me had imagined standing across from Claire when she realized the story wasn't hers anymore. But, looking at Maya, I understood how empty that would have been. This wasn't about watching Claire lose control. It was about making sure she never controlled my daughter again. What happens next? I asked. Investigators handle Claire. You stay with Maya. I ended the call. Maya held up her picture. 2 stick figures stood in front of the house, holding hands. That's us, she said. I smiled. I see that. Then, before I could stop myself, I asked, where's Claire? Maya looked at the blank space beside the house. She doesn't live there anymore. Right? My throat tightened. No. Sweetheart. She picked up her yellow crayon again. No. She doesn't. At 12:26, Claire was seated at the Harpeth House Cafe, with 4 women from her neighborhood circle. I wasn't there. Later, Laura told me what happened. Claire had ordered white wine and a chopped salad. Her purse sat beside her chair. Her phone was face up on the table, probably because she was still waiting for me to call and apologize. Laura entered with 2 Franklin police officers. According to the report, Claire smiled at first. Then she saw the uniforms. Claire Mercer. Yes, one officer placed the protective order beside her plate. You've been served. Effective immediately. You may not contact Maya Mercer or return to the family residence. The table went silent. Claire picked up the papers. This is ridiculous. My husband is upset because his daughter got into allergy medicine. That's all this is. Laura stayed calm. The court reviewed medical records, prior emergency responses, toxicology findings, and information provided during the child protection investigation. Claire's face changed at one word. Information. Statements were documented. Claire looked at the women around her. She's 9. She gets confused. One officer said, Ma'am, we need you to stand. Claire lowered her voice. Can we do this somewhere private? Image. Even then. Image. Please stand. Claire's chair scraped against the floor. You don't understand. Daniel travels constantly. I'm the one who deals with that child when she gets difficult. One friend looked down at her napkin. Claire pointed toward them. Tell them. You've seen how patient I am with Maya. Nobody spoke. That silence cracked something in her. This is insane. Kids take medicine by accident, Laura replied. The investigation will determine what happened. Claire grabbed her purse. Fine. I'll call Daniel. You cannot use Daniel to make indirect contact with Maya. He's my husband. That does not override the order. Nearby tables were watching. Claire's voice sharpened. Do you even know who my husband is? The officer looked at her. Yes, ma'am. He's listed in the file. For the first time. My name did nothing for her. The officer said investigators needed her to come with them regarding suspected child endangerment. She pulled her arm back. You're taking me in because a child told a story. Turn around, ma'am. Daniel did this. Turn around. The cuffs closed around her wrists in the middle of the cafe. None of her friends stood up. None followed her outside. The woman who had spent years controlling how every room saw her finally lost control where image mattered most. And Claire still didn't understand that I hadn't destroyed her reputation. I had only stopped protecting it from the truth anymore. Laura called at 12:41. I stepped into the hospital hallway before answering. Daniel, she said. Claire is in custody. For 3 days. I had imagined hearing those words. I thought I would feel satisfaction. I didn't. I looked through the glass at Maya, curled beneath a hospital blanket with a cartoon playing above her bed. What did she say? Mostly, that you're overreacting. She blamed Maya, too. Of course she did. Laura told me investigators were requesting medical and pharmacy records. The protective order remained active no matter what happened next with the investigation. Don't contact Claire, she said. I won't. And let the forensic interviewers handle Maya from here. Understood. I ended the call and went back inside. Maya muted the television. Was that about Claire? Yes. Her shoulders tightened. I sat beside her. She can't come to the hospital. She can't come home. She isn't allowed to call you, text you, or send somebody else to talk to you. Maya stared at my hands. For how long? Long enough for the people whose job is protecting kids to figure everything out. She was quiet. Then she looked up. So, I don't have to drink the quiet drink anymore. My throat closed. That question erased the restaurant, the handcuffs, the court order, all of it. I took her hand. Never again. Even when you travel, never again. Her face crumpled before she leaned into me. I held her against my chest and felt her breathe. That was the real payoff. Not Claire losing her friends, not police taking her away. My daughter understood that the woman who frightened her no longer controlled the door to her home. For the first time, Maya believed me when I said she was safe. 2 days later, Maya was discharged. Before we left, she asked me twice, "Claire really won't be there." "She won't." When we pulled into the driveway, Maya didn't unbuckle. She just stared at the house. I waited. Finally, she whispered, "Can you go in first?" "Absolutely." I opened the new lock, checked every room, then came back for her. All clear. Maya took my hand. We walked inside together. She stopped in the hallway, the same hallway where I had found her face down 3 nights earlier. For a moment, I thought she might panic. Instead, she took one slow breath, then another. "It feels different," she said. "How?" She looked toward the staircase, then the kitchen. "Bigger." I frowned slightly. "Bigger. Like there's more air now." My throat tightened. The walls hadn't moved. The furniture was the same, only the locks, codes, and access had changed. But Maya understood something I was only beginning to understand. A home isn't safe because the mortgage is paid or the doors are expensive. It's safe because the person who scares you can't walk through them anymore. That night, I ordered Maya's favorite pepperoni pizza and put on a documentary about red pandas. Halfway through, she stopped eating. "Dad." "Yeah. Are you still gonna travel?" "Eventually." "Not for a while." She stared at her plate. "Because of me?" "No. But if you stay home, won't you lose jobs?" Then I heard Claire's voice inside my daughter's fear. I set my slice down. "Maya, look at me." She did. "My work matters. But you matter more, and what happened wasn't because I traveled." Her eyes filled. "Claire said you'd lose everything if I told." She lied. "So, it's not my fault." "Not even close. Not even 1%. I shook my head. "Not 1%. Later, Maya fell asleep against my shoulder. Her breathing became slow, deep. My entire body tensed. For one panicked second, I was back in that hallway staring at her pale face. I touched her arm. She stirred. "Dad, I'm sleeping." A laugh escaped me before I could stop it. "I know, kiddo." And this time, I finally did. No quiet drink, no locked secrets, no danger hiding behind closed doors. Just my daughter, exhausted from pizza, red pandas, and finally feeling safe enough to sleep beside her father. The weeks after Maya came home were not magically easy. She started seeing a child therapist. Some nights, she slept straight through. Other nights, I found her checking the bedroom door twice before climbing into bed. "Just making sure it doesn't lock from outside," she said once. I didn't tell her to stop. I just sat beside her until she felt safe. The investigation continued. Laura collected medical and pharmacy records. Rebecca handled the separation, court filings, and every contact Claire attempted through attorneys. I followed one rule: no personal revenge, no angry messages, no public explanations. I wanted distance, accountability, and a daughter who could breathe normally in her own house. I also changed my work. I didn't quit. I refused to let Claire's lie become true. Instead, I reduced overnight travel, moved more bid meetings online, and built a schedule that kept me present without making Maya believe my career had collapsed because of her. One Saturday morning, I found her making pancakes. She spilled batter across the counter. For a second, she froze. Then, she looked at me. I grabbed a towel. Guess breakfast fought back. Maya laughed. Not apologized. Laughed. That small sound told me healing had finally begun. That night, Maya fell asleep beside me halfway through a panda documentary. No quiet drink, no fear, no one waiting for my next flight. I listened to her breathing against my shoulder and understood what safety sounded like. For the first time in months, sleep in our house meant only sleep.